Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about what we call core beliefs. So, recovery all has to do with the revision of core beliefs. Ultimately, at the end of the day, why do we care about trauma and neglect? Why do we care about your family history and your story? Really? As like a therapist, why do I have an interest in that? And why should you have an interest in it? Is because out of every experience, a core belief is either determined, strengthened, or weakened, and a new one established. Core beliefs are at the core of the human, at the center of existence. The purpose of experience is to give you core beliefs to house the energy. The energy of experience. Energy of experience. Energy of experience is housed inside core beliefs. This is very well illustrated in a movie called Inside Out. I would suggest you watch it. It's a kid's movie, but it's very, very nice. Illustration of core, they call them core memories, but it's not really that because core beliefs, you don't have a million of them. You have a couple. And the more experiences you have, these could be good or bad. The more experiences you have, the more reinforced they get. They are core programs for helping make sense of the world. A core belief is a program for making sense of the world and predicting what happens next. Make sense of world. Predict what happens next. So these are programs. So core belief are a series of programs, like computer programs, to help you make sense of the world and how you fit in it and how it fits into you, and to predict what happens next, to optimize chances of survival. So, nowhere here do I say that it's positive or negative. This is just what happens. Every experience. So, you have experiences in life, right? Starting from the point of conception. Maybe mom was drinking while you were in the womb. Maybe fetus doesn't know too much about not being ideal, but it does know that mom is doing something toxic while I'm in the womb and nobody cares about me. So, experiences 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 trillion, right? We have trillions of micro experiences, moments here and there that are all stored. We've talked about that. Subconscious is very vast. It houses this. So you have all these experiences that get mapped into core beliefs. And these core beliefs your subconscious mind uses the beliefs, the experiences to reinforce or revise your program. This, you can, an example. What am I talking about? I am unsafe. I am not okay. Okay? Core programs, मैं ठीक नहीं हैगा. Another one, common, I am unworthy. So, you have an experience. Let's say it is mom is late to pick you up in school. She may have a good reason for being late. Doesn't matter, because kids are great observers, they are poor interpreters. Okay? So mom is late, bang. She doesn't care about me. Nobody cares about me. Da, 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 I am unworthy. Core belief, strengthened. You know, bully at school. You know, maybe what we know about bullies is that they are very frightened inside. They project strength to hide their weakness. That's what bullies do. It's not about you, the bullied person, it's about them. But children are great observers, poor interpreters. So then they'll map this to I am unsafe. You know? And so on it goes. Experience after experience for trillions. Maps. And these things, these core negative beliefs, right, which is why we're here, right, is when you amass enough of these, we call them schemas. We'll call these things schemas. When you amass enough of these, when you amass enough of these, they start becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, a good quote is, what I fear, you should write this one down, I create. What I fear, I create. We confirm. The core beliefs, they produce the same reality again and again and again. How we do one thing is how we do everything, because how we do one thing is informed by core beliefs. Not your conscious stuff, I'm talking about your subconscious stuff. What I fear, I create. And another good one is, I seek to prove true my greatest belief about self. So if you think you're a failure, using my example, when I did deep work on myself, that thing, I'm a failure. If I'm not achieving, I'm a failure. It ties into the late thing. So, you think you're a failure, all right, let's just create opportunities to fail. Tell people you're going to be there at 12, show up at 12:25. Make an excuse. And that's fine if it's like once in a while, but every day? Every time? Doesn't make any sense. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it was very subconscious. I've worked very hard on my punctuality, not to a lot of success. Until I developed and discovered this core belief. And then I learned to work with it. As the belief changed, my ability to be on time became a lot easier. I haven't worn a watch in 20 years. Now I wear a watch. Helps me be on time. Why don't I wear a watch? Don't want to know. It's easier to be late. Hard to... Oh, sorry, lost track of time. Well, you got to watch it. that one don't work no more. So, what I fear I create, I seek to prove true my greatest belief about myself. So, how many of you have gotten into relationships and sabotaged them? Even the good ones, the ones you wanted to keep. Did you do it? And just couldn't help yourself. This is kind of what it happens. People don't master plan their own failure. It's all informed by these core belief systems. We call them schemas. A smart psychologist named Dr. Young, I think his name is Dr. Young, yeah, Dr. Young, he coined 18 core schemas. At NOM, we do some schema therapy. What's interesting about core beliefs and why you care about them, because you'll encounter this if you do some work at our center. We'll give you surveys and things to help identify what core beliefs do you have about yourself or others or your environment that are destructive. And what's really interesting about these beliefs, which, by the way, you do hear me always talk about learning efficiency. So, learning efficiency, as age goes 25, the learning efficiency of a child is peak at the point of conception, and it slows down exponentially, certainly at around the age of 5, and it's mostly done by the age of 11. So your programs, your core belief system programs are done by the age of 11, mostly. Sorry. That's true. And by the age of 25, done and done. But mostly by the age of 11. So what you had before the age of 11, and many people don't remember much before the age of 11, what you had is what you had. So if dad was an alcoholic, but he came into recovery when you turned 11, that's good. Better late than never. But now you got a pile of stuff to deal with. Because it happened before the age of 11. Vice versa, if things are very stable until the age of 11, and then things fell apart, you'll probably find that you have a lot of resilience. And you can withstand a lot of things. Because your emotional program, it's not all bad. Core beliefs are not all negative. There's lots of positive ones, right? I can succeed. There's all sorts of things. They're not all bad, good and bad, but mostly formed before the age of 11. And children are great observers, poor interpreters. So then they can't they're more likely to confirm negative beliefs about themselves. Two adults are arguing about something that has nothing to do with a child. Child's going to think it's my fault. Because that's what children do. Stop fighting, I'm sorry. About what? We're talking about finances. Little Johnny, it has nothing to do with you. And yet Johnny, when we started doing therapy with Johnny late, like 30 years later, I thought it was about me. I thought I divorced my parents. You know, these kinds of core perceptions are misperceptions, but it doesn't matter. Because in the eyes of that child, 100% true. So when we do trauma therapy, at the end of the day, it's not about revising experiences. It's all about revising the belief systems that were incorrectly learned. You know, is the world a loving place? Is the world a trusting place? A lot of times, at NOM, we focus a lot on spirituality. And, children is not really in the minds of a child. Remember, good observer, poor interpreter. In the minds of a child, God, mom, and dad are pretty much synonymous. So if mom and dad don't got it together, God probably doesn't got it together either. Can't trust mom or dad, can't trust God. That's where a lot of this sort of difficulty surrendering and, and what relationship exists without surrender? You can't have a relationship with another human being, a deep, loving relationship without surrender. I think in the West they call it commitment issues. Commitment issues, right? Core program. Commitment isn't safe. Because when I tried that when I was 5, it hurt. I'm never doing that again. I asked God to fix my family, and everyone still argued. I guess God doesn't work. Child, good observer, best observer, poor interpreter. Adults, poor observers, really good interpreters. Well, all right interpreters, hopefully getting better. So this is what we do at NOM. Is we were really interested in adjusting core beliefs, because if let's say 100,000 experiences manifested into one core belief, if you can shift the belief, all that energy of negative experiences gets dissipated. It's like I don't know, some IT whiz. I told him my computer's going slow, and it's like a new computer. It shouldn't be going slow. And the first person I talked to, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's just computers these days go slow." So I gave up on it. I just left my computer going slow. And then got a new IT company, and then I talked to this IT person, and he was like, "Oh no, let's just go on." And he typed in some thing and this and that, and then they found some corrupted files. And he repaired the corrupted files, and all of a sudden the computer is going fast. I got millions of windows open, but it's still fast. And that's what happens when you revise core beliefs. Is when you take irrational core beliefs like I am unworthy. Actually, the Christians always say this, right? We're made in the, man is made in the image of God, right? It's a very common belief throughout the world, throughout every religion, actually. So who can be unworthy? We're all light. We're all worthy. That's just a fact. Now, if you don't feel worthy, and you can somehow revise these experiences to feel worthy of love, all of a sudden, your capacity to take in the love that you've received in the past comes online. Because we've all been loved. The most horrible of parents still loves their kid at some level. Even the psychopaths, serial killers. But the thing is finding that, amplifying that. If you don't revise the core program, it just stays buried. But as soon as you bring it alive, those old experiences can start helping. And that's how schema therapy works, is you repeatedly talk about these core experiences, and you slowly, through just talking, I guess, you know what, you reframe belief systems. Faster ways to do it, EMDR and other things. All sorts of ways to do it, but this is what it's about, and this is why identifying your own core beliefs is important. So, how do you do that? Journaling, best way. What do I really think about myself? And start journaling. Spew it out. I bet you if you spew it out long enough, your core beliefs will start to surface. A hint, core beliefs about self, they usually start with I am and end up with something bad. Unworthy. I am not good enough. I am bad. I am foolish. I am this. I am that. And if you don't think you have any, right? A lot of people, they struggle to identify their beliefs. But they have pain in their bodies. They have tension. They have stuff. So they should focus on that tension and ask themselves, what's this about? And just start writing whatever comes into the mind. If you have a struggle, you're some thoughts keep going and you're worrying about something, just keep asking yourself, what's this about? What's behind this? What's behind this? And what's behind this? And what's behind this? And that process will uncover a core belief. An easy way to do that is to just do the Schema survey. You can find it online. It's like 118 core negative beliefs about self. And we like to use that because it's a little faster. And you can just rate those from 1 to 6. What do you feel true about yourself? 6 describes you perfectly. 1 is completely untrue, and you rate them. And so then at NAM, we then use our things, our affirmations, our discussions, our groups, to then start to reframe these things. And really, it's not just NAM. Like AA groups do this all the time. Longest time I wondered, how does AA treat complex PTSD when they don't have any therapists involved? How does that work? How can they, because they take complicated people. I've sent complicated people into AA rooms, and if the ones that buy into it, they come out and suddenly their systems, their belief systems are shifted. Core beliefs are shifted. You get a hug from a stranger that's loving, and you learn to receive that. It'll shift a core belief from I am unworthy of love to I am worthy of love, and stuff starts to work better. There's a mechanic to these things. They use prayer to shift these beliefs, and it works. It really works. So, core beliefs about self, also known in other places as automatic negative thoughts or whatnot. First, you have to figure out what your core beliefs are. And so the Schema survey is a great way to do that. Journaling is a great way to do that. Discussion is a great way to do that. And keep it in mind. What I fear I create, I seek to prove true my greatest belief about myself, and how I do one thing. So if you have self-defeating habits that you just don't know why you keep doing these things, you should journal about that. Why do I keep doing that? And what's behind that? And what's beyond that? It'll lead you to core beliefs. How I do one thing is how I do everything. Can't reread that, but so any questions or comments about this short video on core beliefs and why? So this is a video about why. It may take 30 years to develop the experiences. Building core beliefs through experience is a very slow process. Hence why it takes 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years before someone comes from help. Because they've built the process and it takes a long time. But deconstructing and reforming a core belief does not take that long if you do it with intention and desire. And you should always do this work at your own pace. There's a video on safety. If you're living in an unsafe world, in an unsafe place, like people doing crack or you're being beat by your significant other, chances are you're using core belief structures to stay safe. So it doesn't work, right? So if it's like your core belief structures, I'm unworthy, and that makes being hit less painful, if all of a sudden you revise that belief, you can very much expect that your desire to stay there will change. Some people come back to me and they blame me, like, Dr. Gill, my symptoms are worse now. Did you adjust your safety? Because you can only heal to the level of the safety that you've given yourself, sexually, financially, physically, emotionally. The safety, so when people plateau in recovery, the level of safety is always the main predictor as to why they've stuck. It's, spiritual safety is a big thing. A lot of people struggle with AA. They go into the rooms and then they make some excuse. They don't feel comfortable. They don't this, that. But it's really about spiritual safety. A, B, and C, and D happened. They forgot about it. Maybe they didn't. And then, all sorts of negative conclusions about it. So safety has to be optimized if you want to do this work. This is why residential treatment programs exist and are helpful. That's why you go away to a yoga retreat. You have an environment. If your home life isn't safe, you go away for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, come back. So if you start doing schema stuff and adjusting core beliefs, your environment must shift. Your boundaries must shift to adjust for the new belief structure. And if you don't, your symptoms will flare because you need to do something different. Not because it's a bad thing to there's nothing bad about, I'm unworthy. You need to unlearn that stuff. It just needs to be unlearned. It needs to be relearned as I am worthy. That's just what you got to do. However you do it, whether you pay someone $200 an hour and do that, do it. However you do it, but you got to do it. You can save yourself a lot of money by adjusting your safety of your environment as you do it. Or some people, they save up for therapy and they spend a bunch of time optimizing themselves before they go in, and they make progress really fast. Because they're going in I know I'm messed up, I know I got to get out of all this, and they start prepping all that, and then they subject themselves to the transformation. And then it changes. Your core beliefs determine who you're in relationship with. People who are believing at the deepest level, that they're unworthy, you think they're going to hang out with people who think they're worthy? No, at some level, they're going to be people with complementary dysfunctional belief systems. Addiction is a disease of genetics and magnetics. That's a common saying. The magnetic aspect. Hurt people attract hurt people. So, surprise, surprise. You start changing your core beliefs, and all of a sudden your boyfriend that you used to, interact over dysfunction, and now you don't do that anymore. That relationship will either change or it'll fall apart. So be careful about recovery work. Be cautious if you really want to do this. Good to do this, especially if you're going to die of severe illness. But you should know that. You adjust core beliefs, your relationship with your parents will change. You may not tolerate what you've always tolerated. You may change your response, and they have come used to that. So there's going to be disruption. This is actually how families heal. One person out of a family heals, and the others start to heal around that person.
Contagious.
Okay. Recovery is very contagious because healed people can heal people. And so that's the hope, and that's how it works. Functionally, in my world, we've seen it many, many times. Yes?
Well, I guess it's kind of a follow-up question to that, but something I was thinking of, as a parent of a kid who's, at that kind of really impactful age between 5 and 11, are there, and knowing that there's damage that, we've done as parents,
Yes.
Can we kind of undo that?
Yes.
Can we work to undo some of that damage that we've done to them?
Yes. Yes, you can. the most, I was talking to some guy, and he was like, give up on the addicts, give up on the people with severe mental illness, focus on their kids. And what I have to remind this person, I don't know if he heard it, but which is the best therapist for a child is actually a functional parent who's in recovery, who's doing their best. Nobody, not a clever person like me. Like a hug from a parent who hasn't given hugs is like worth millions of dollars of therapy, right? And so the damage is done, but you know what? The work you're doing now will shorten their journey, and they will have a journey, but that journey may not be 30 years and homeless, right? It may not be messy divorces and stepchildren and complication. It may be 18 years old, a little bit rebellious, get some therapy, in 2 years is fine, right? That's the difference of a household where people heal. Is their healing journeys. Nothing inspires a child more than a father, a son, than a father who's like willing to do the hard work of healing. Cry often around your kids. It's good. They take from that a message, which is it's okay to heal. It's okay to that's tough men cry, strong men cry, weak men hold it in, fake it. So if you teach a child that lesson, children learn lessons very quickly. Very quickly. I can accomplish thousands of hours of therapy inside like one session with a child. Because they just, core belief, yeah, I have that, change, bunk, done. Right? So it cuts both ways, right? So if you're in that window where you're lucky. But don't think that you can do their journey for them. You cannot do the journey for them. But you can shorten their journey a lot. A lot. And will. And that's the hope. Good? Other comments, questions? Tears of liquid gold. Cry lost, my friend.
How do you optimize safety?
Watch the video on safety.
On safety? Okay.
There's a million things you can do. Every action you take increases or decreases your safety in life. So safety is determined by the choices we make every day. You hang out with the wrong crowd, you're reducing your safety. You do drugs, you're reducing your safety. You don't do your self-therapy practice, you're reducing your safety. You do your self-therapy practice, you're increasing your safety. Safety has many domains. Physical safety. If you're getting beat at night, when you go home, I strongly suggest you go to a domestic violence shelter. Get safe. Draw boundaries if you're getting abused verbally. If you're still getting abused, draw stronger boundaries. There's no one answer to them. So watch safety video. Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned journaling as a healing process, right? So journaling initially can be negative. That's perfectly fine. I mean,
Yep.
You're talking to yourself, and it's perfectly fine to be very pessimistic.
Yep. Is it fine to be pessimistic? It's the reality. So, what we do not acknowledge, we cannot heal what we do not acknowledge or admit. So, you don't let it come up and you say, oh, I'm optimistic, but really you're pessimistic inside. You probably should become aware of that and admit that. And then there's a chance to revise that. Gratitude journaling is a really good way. If you are a journaler, then gratitude journaling is a really good way. Write 30 gratitudes in a day. Great daily practice. And no repeats. Not allowed to repeat anything. But you can say, I love my son. And I love how my son hugs me. That's different. I love the sound of his voice when he said, hi, Dad. That's different. So that's 3. There's like a trillion gratitudes, zillions, gazillions of gratitudes. 30 a day is not hard to do, but it is hard to do when you're stuck in a hole and can't see much. But practicing and working that muscle, so you journal all your pessimism and then write 30 gratitudes. That'll uplift you, right? You don't want to just leave yourself there. Last questions. Core beliefs. Core beliefs. Schemas. How do you shift these things? Recovery. Self-therapy. Sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly. Focus therapies. We do things, hypnosis and other things that are helpful at shifting things, affirmations, prayers, groups, lots of ways to shift. But first you need to be aware that you have these things. Okay? We'll leave it at that. Thank you. If I misspoke, my apologies. It's always good when we talk about core beliefs, negative stuff, do some self-care before or after, you know. It's triggering stuff. Thank you.